Thank you, Chris. It's a real honor for me to be here tonight to represent the Pacers and presenting the Hall of Fame's Pacers silver medal. For those of you who don't know, I was a sports writer for the Indianapolis Star for a long, long time, and I was the beat writer back in the ABA days. So to come full circle and end up working for the franchise is an extraordinary honor in my life. And we're also extraordinarily proud to be part of the silver medal for both the boys and the girls for the second consecutive year. We hope that's many more years to come. Chris mentioned the state tournaments, so we had the girls return to Bankers Life Fieldhouse just a few weeks ago after an absence of 3 years, and we're delighted to welcome the boys this coming Saturday. They were practicing in the Fieldhouse today, and I went down to watch the teams walk in, and they get that same gleam in their eye as they think about all the possibilities that Saturday portends. I would also be remiss if I didn't give a personal recognition. Last August, it was a great, great pleasure of mine to travel to Springfield, Massachusetts to watch Bobby Slick Leonard being inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame. A great, great honor for Slick, and it was my first time to be at that other Hall of Fame, and there's so much Indiana in that place. It was just a joy, and the joy to be there with Slick. It's a very special personal privilege to present the Pacers Silver Medal to tonight's recipient, if for no other reason than I've been watching him blow games and calls since I was a boy in the 50s. Our 2015 silver medal winner has been involved in Indiana high school basketball for more than 70 years. Just think about that, 70 years. Jimmy actually was telling me he think he may have refereed that 113-point game. Couldn't remember, but that's understandable. As a student at Indianapolis Washington High School in the late 40s, he was drawn to the sport in a specific aspect of it. He was appointed by the coaches to become the team referee during his high school years, and that led to many, many fights during those times. He's now been connected to officiating our great Indiana game for the last 7 decades. Following his schooling, he immediately got involved in officiating. He received his first sectional assignment in 1953 at the age of 23, and his lengthy career would include 37 sectionals, 32 regionals, 23 semi-states, and 5 state finals games. Along the way, he was also involved in the early Hall of Fame Classic tournaments, worked early Indiana-Kentucky girls all-star games, and picked up assignments in numerous college conferences. In all, he racked up thousands of miles crisscrossing Indiana and the Midwest, and is estimated to have worked 7,000 games, a few of which he got right. However, after hanging up the striped shirt and his whistle, he didn't step away from the game. He's still heavily involved in the Indiana Officials Association, the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association, and of course the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Throughout the years, he has been instrumental in recruiting new officials, mentoring young officials, observing officials, and assigning officials for some of the state's most prestigious events and tournaments. Anyone who knows or has worked with Jimmy knows he has a million stories of the games he has worked, and I just heard about another 20 of them in the last hour and a half. The players and coaches he befriended, the officials he worked with, and the gymnasiums he spent his winters in are countless. Unquestionably an advocate for officials, he will quickly remind you that you don't have a game until the officials have arrived. And the one thing that I really like about Jimmy, he used to always turn around to those idiots of us in the press and demonstrate the call so we could get it right. He has been recognized by the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association with the prestigious Roy Gardner Award, and he stood on this very stage receiving the Hall of Fame Circle Center Award in 22. Isn't it amazing what a severely impaired vision and limited judgment guy can accomplish? This is extraordinary. So before we turn this to applause, I want everybody to give Jimmy the sound that accompanied his career. Could we all please booing, please? Oh, and one more thing, just a second. Oh, it's a missed call, Jimmy, so it must be for you. See, Sam, all the good lines weren't gone. So tonight, as I turn very serious because I love this guy, tonight receiving the 2015 Indiana Pacers Silver Medal Award for contributions to Indiana high school basketball. He's a great, great champion of basketball in our state, and he called every call right. Please congratulate and welcome Mr. Jimmy Dimitroff.
My first time that I've ever not had booed. Everybody clap. Will you clap for me again? I really love it. Normally they all have choice words for me. And you've gone up, and my favorite is my sports writers. You went up a couple notches, I'll tell you that. So. Before I got started here, I gotta hang up my shingle. And this is my shingle. I lived with this thing for 40 years, so I might as well show it off a little bit. I got story after story, but I don't have the time because these guys over here won't let me go. But I'm going to tell you how you get elected to work the state tournament. In 1971, I'd worked, up to then I'd worked 20 tournaments, sectionals, regionals, semi-states, and I'm waiting for our commissioner, who's just Mr. Eskew, to get that Saturday afternoon call. Everybody that works a basketball game, that wears the shirt today, his ultimate goal is to work the state final. And in those days, we only had 6 guys to work the state tournament. And you pick 6 guys out of 3,500 or 4,000 officials. On that Saturday afternoon, or the Sunday afternoon after the semi-state, the 24 guys that worked the semi-state sit around waiting for that ultimate telephone call. In my house, if anybody got to the phone from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I broke their arm. Nobody could answer the phone. I get my call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon by Mr. Eskew. And here's what he said to me. He said, "How was your semi-state?" Now I know how he knew how my semi-state was there because he sat in the stands and he listened and watched me. So he said, "Don't unpack your bags, pack it, repack it up, and be at the IHSAA on Saturday morning." That's when we were downtown. So Elaine and I, 4 kids, packed our bags up that Saturday morning and went to the IHSAA downtown. Now the family sat in another room and the 6 referees were in the conference room. And Mr. Keller was our assistant commissioner. And each guy had a card in front of him with his name on it. And on the back side, it said Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, and told you who your partner was. My card said Game 3, which was the night game. And then after that, Mr. Eskew gets up and gives us our instructions. Now, he tells us, don't talk to sports writers. If you do talk to them, be careful what you say because they're going to stretch it as far as they can stretch it, and it'll be tomorrow in morning paper. And after that, your mother, Mrs. Eskew, came in. God bless her. I have to bring this up. She made plaques for every guy that was working. It's a decoupage plaque. And had names on them, had different situations, and all mine, for some of you old timers, a little short fat guy refereeing down in Indiana, and you guys know who I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Jim Enright. Now I don't know why she put that picture of me, of Jim Enright on my thing, but I was fortunate to get 2 of these things in my, and I praise these things hang in our family room at home today. Also, as we finished that day, she came up to me and she gave me a rabbit's foot. I still have it. This was in 1971. I carried this thing in my bag for 13 years. Never left my bag until January the 7th in 2013. No, let's see when. It was 11 years later. I was going to, I forget the date, but what I did was, I carried this rabbit's foot with me for 13 years. And at that time, the Midwestern cities was formed here in the College Conference, which is the Horizon League now. And I got assigned, I'd worked 5 games in the league, and I got assigned on January the 7th, on Thursday night, to go to Evansville to work the Evansville University Baltimore game. I packed, because I was packing for 4 games that week. I was going to work the Evansville game, then on Friday evening, I was going to work at Wright's down at the high school, and on Saturday, I was assigned to work the Xavier University of Cincinnati game at Cincinnati. It was a national televised game. Big deal for me, big time. Well, 10 minutes in the first half, a kid from Baltimore put me down on the floor, broke my leg and severed a ligament in my knee. And I'm laying there on the floor. So I'm going to get up, and the doctor gets up and says, "You're not going anyplace." Well, I couldn't, so they take me off in the stretcher, and they're going to take me to the Evansville Hospital to have surgery the next day. And I said, "No, bring my car in. I'm going back to Indianapolis." So I drive all the way back to Indianapolis that night. It takes me 4 hours to get back home. And he called, my doctor was Tom Brady. Dr. Brady, a lot of you guys know Brady. So Brady, I called Brady at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm operated at noon that day. And I lay in that bed. I was in the hallway for a while, and a gentleman came up to me, and he said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to get in a room." It was a guy by the name of Dr. Lloyd, who was the CEO of Methodist Hospital. He called the nurses over. He said, "Get this man into Cranner Towers." But let me tell you something. If you go to get sick, that's the place to be. Because I had a private nurse, a private room, and fortunately, you know, I didn't finish the game. But the thing I had was, I had a goal that I wanted to do. I wanted to work 100 high school tournaments. Well, I missed 3 that year, and I was the state final because I worked 97 tournaments, and included that was the 5 state finals. But I was hoping someday that I could work 100 state tournaments. But unfortunately, I only worked 97. But I'll tell you what, I never scored a goal in my life. I never had a rebound in my life. And I'm sitting up with these guys that have all kinds of records. And my buddies down here, let me tell you something, I'm going to cut your time down in 2 minutes, fellas. I come to you guys that you call files, and I was taking minutes away from you. I am thrilled to death that I take this honor. You know, basketball's been a big part of my life, and you know, I've kind of ignored my family, and I need to introduce my family to you people. I have 4 kids and a wife, really. But my family's sitting over here. I don't know, where's Jimmy? There, and that's my son Jimmy, and Vicki Williamson, and where's Kathy? Kathy's birthday, sir. My daughter's birthday's today. Let me introduce you to my wife, Elaine. I'll tell you what, somebody said for you. Oh, I'm not done here. Elaine, get up. We've been married going on 61 years. She's washed more. She's washed more referee shirts than anybody living. Because I always carry 2 shirts, and he works 6,000 or 7,000 games. She washed, I don't know how many shirts she's washed, but that's Elaine, my wife. All right. Thank you very much, people. I really.